Hey scholars, Professor Denham here. This is a video for HCOM 235, Essentials of Argumentation. This is your week 2 video announcement. Today's Tuesday, and I'm going to be going over the syllabus and the course schedule, and then just talking a little bit more about our course and what you got to get going on for this week and the next couple weeks. So I recommend having the syllabus out with you as I'm going along. As you're listening to this video, you should be following along in your syllabus. I definitely recommend reading the entire syllabus in detail, very thoroughly, because I'm not going to read through the whole syllabus. I'm not going to read through the syllabus during this video. I'm going to be referencing it, but I definitely recommend that you read through the entire thing along with all of your syllabi. So my office hours, as I mentioned before, Monday, Wednesday, 12:30 to 2. Online, so I'll plan to be by my email, and if I get an email from you during that time frame, my goal is to respond back right away. You could also visit me in person in College Park, 275 10 CP 27510. Make sure you have our course textbook, as I mentioned before. Looks like this: Arguing, Reasoning, and Thinking Well. All that info is on our syllabus, and then it's in your student portal and on our course catalog and whatnot. So, as I mentioned before, this course is about critical thinking and applying critical thinking skills in everyday reasoning. It's about how to use evidence and reasoning to make informed decisions. There's several learning objectives, a variety of course requirements. So you'll see there's several learning exercises, and then you have two papers, written assignments. One is a factual argument, and then the other one is called Analyzing Evidence in an Editorial. The factual argument is one where I will provide for you statements of fact, and then you will choose one of those statements of fact, and you either agree with it or you disagree. You either affirm or negate the statement, and then you use evidence that you would find in you would find evidence online or in the library or something like that to support basically the position of what you take. That'll all make a lot more sense once you actually see the assignment. But it's your way of testing out the nature of the building blocks of an argument: a claim, an evidence, and warrant. And the other longer written assignment is called Analyzing Evidence in an Editorial. That'll be due later in the semester. As you see, it's on the course schedule. It's due on the 14th, November 14th. So for that one, you're actually going to select an entire editorial from a major newspaper publication like the Orange County Register, the LA Times, or the Chicago Tribune, something major, and you're going to take one of the editorials and then use that as the centerpiece for this assignment. You'll find outside research as well. In other words, whatever the topic is, you'll find two other outside expert sources as a way to support what you're talking about. And again, we'll have a detailed document for that and a video explaining that. You'll also have a speech and then two exams. The speech will be essentially, it's called an argumentation application speech. You'll take one particular type of argument, and then you'll demonstrate your understanding of the argument by talking about it, explaining it, almost like you're teaching, right? You're taking the role of teacher by explaining this argument in your own words and so on and so forth. And then you apply it in a specific context. So you would show some sort of an illustration of how this argument has been exemplified either in a TV show or film or current events or in your own personal life. But that's the speech. Again, we'll have a detailed explanation of that when the time comes. So with the speech, we only have one speech in this class, and most of you have probably already taken a public speaking class, or maybe you're currently taking one, and if not, no big deal. You'll participate in a public speaking anxiety workshop, which students really enjoy, and they find it really useful. But when you record your speech, the thing that you'll submit to Canvas is one, so I'm on page 2 where it says speech. The video has to be one continuous speech with no editing. I'll remind you of this in the future, and I emphasize this because I don't want you to submit something that's been edited multiple times, and then you get a really low grade or poor grade because of that. So you can't have multiple takes. It needs to be one take. If you make a mistake or for some reason you want to start over, you start over. Don't hit pause and re-record or anything like that, or try to edit it together. Just start over. You just delete what you recorded, start over. So where it says participation learning exercises, it's an asynchronous course, and I expect civility, and I want you to be considerate of everyone who might be in this course in terms of the way you communicate and what you write online. We won't really have a whole lot of interaction where you're posting things publicly, where there's like a discussion board. There might be some of those, but nevertheless, it's important to be mindful of how you talk and how you communicate. It's just as important to do that, to be mindful of how you communicate online and through email and through Canvas as it is in the physical classroom. 2 exams, 1 midterm, 1 final, and then here's a breakdown of how the weights of how each assignment is weighted, where it says grading. So our course is based on 1,000 points. So we've got 1,000-point based course. So you can see if you're a numbers person, you'll see that something that's worth 50 points is 5%. Factual argument, it's 100 points, so it's 10% of the grade, and so on and so forth. Going on down, I've already addressed some of these things in terms of course communication and feedback and meeting with me. I have my office hour, but if you want to set up a Zoom call, for some reason you want to talk face to face, if you want to just talk in person, we can do it through Zoom, or you can visit me in my physical office on campus. It's the same office hours, Mondays and Wednesdays from 12:30 to 2, and that's in College Park, CP 27510. And this class is asynchronous, so you want to have some basic technical requirements, right? Basic computer competency. Just know how to use your internet, use your email, use Canvas, and use the library resources, and so on and so forth. So just make sure you're checking your email and Canvas messages on a daily basis. And then in terms of a grade dispute, if you get your graded assignment back and you got a grade that's very different than what you expected, or you just want to talk to me about the work, about your grade, about my comments, about the thoughts and reflection that you had after you submitted the work. If you want to talk to me about any aspect of your assignment once it's been graded, I'm happy to do so. We can just set up a time to meet through Zoom. I've already addressed late work before, but basically the deadline is going to be Sunday, but if it's turned in after that, then points will be deducted according to this schedule here on page 5. Basically a 10% deduction per 24-hour period. And then excuse me, where it says plagiarism, academic dishonesty, basically don't cheat, right? You want to be honest. Cal State Fullerton, along with pretty much all colleges, they take academic integrity, cheating, plagiarism, all those things, they take it very, very seriously. They have committees of people who generally they're administrators, people who work for the college. And these are people who form committees, and then they handle academic integrity violations reports. So if I suspected a student of engaging in some form of cheating or plagiarism or academic dishonesty, if I had just cause, if considering my background and the fact that I've been doing this for 15 years and the way the work looks as it compares to all other students' work, right? If for some reason I'm looking at a student's work and I'm thinking this seems like it's violating some level of academic integrity, it's a form of cheating or plagiarism, it just looks off, I might Turnitin, I might go on Google, I might search around, and if I feel that the case is strong enough, then I would either consult with my chair first, or I would just I would create the academic integrity violation report, and then I would send it off to a group of people, and they're the ones who would handle it from that point forward. I'm not trying to scare you, by the way, but I think it's very important that you as a student know how these types of things are handled. After I kind of hand it off, I'm no longer involved in the matter, but then now it's the academic integrity committee. And then they, as a group, determine what to do. And what might happen, there's a variety of sanctions that could happen. One thing that could happen is you get an F for the course, you get an F for the assignment, you get withdrawn from the course, whether it be an authorized withdrawal or an unauthorized withdrawal or an incomplete. There's all different types of sanctions. You could potentially lose scholarship funding. You could lose your status as a student. You could be, they might suspend you. I don't know the terminology exactly, but you might have to take a semester off. There's a variety of sanctions, and I recommend that you read through the UPS statements, the university policy statements. I provide a link to them on the syllabus, and I provide that information as well on our Canvas page. So again, I'm not trying to scare you, but it's very important for you to know how things work. Basically, if you're doing all your own original work and you're confident that what you're doing is maintaining the standards of academic integrity, you have integrity with the way that you're doing your work. It's your own stuff. You're giving credit to where credit is due, right? You're not creating new material. You're doing research in a particular way, and then you're writing it up in your assignment, but you're ensuring to give credit to where credit is due, and you're paraphrasing things. You're writing things in your own words, not just copying and pasting. So if you're unsure about what you're doing in terms of whether or not it's appropriate or inappropriate, you can always ask. Okay, I have some information on disability support services, and then other policies on sexual harassment policy, some emergency phone numbers. So again, read through this whole syllabus on your own and looking at the course schedule. Course schedule is also available on our Canvas page. You see that last week, week 1, we had the student profile due, the Dr. Joseph TED Talk due, and you'll see where it says all assignments, the far right column. I have pretty much all of the assignments, all of the Canvas assignments are already up there, but we might have a couple more throughout the semester. Nevertheless, you will know, I will tell you in a video announcement, and you would still see it populated on your Canvas. When you log on to Canvas and you click on our course, you'll see one of those like notifications. You'll see one of those links, a little tab that says upcoming work, things that are due, and it just reminds you of what you have going on that week, and I think even the following week. Anyhow, you'll see that this week is week 2, and we have chapter 1, the chapter 1 from our textbook. I've already provided that for you, just in case there's some of you who are still waiting to get your textbooks. You can get a used version of this textbook. Arguing, Reasoning, and Thinking Well. There's only one copy. I'm sorry, there's only one edition. This is the first edition. To my knowledge, they haven't written a second edition. You can get the electronic version, a brand new version. You can get a used version. As long as you get some sort of version of the textbook is good. I have chapter 1 for you, for those of you who haven't yet had it yet. And what I recommend, this is an asynchronous class, so the way you work in a class like this is very different from a class that meets like Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 1:15. What a lot of students, in my experience, what a lot of students have shared with me, one of the benefits of taking an online class that's asynchronous, you can do your work whenever you want. So you know, like, okay, hey, some students say, when I wake up in the morning, I just have this like 3-hour chunk of time where there's not a whole lot going on. So for 3 hours, boom, I knock my work out and get all my work done. And some people, they maybe they do it an hour every night or something like that. So everyone's different. But what I recommend is is to have your reading finish by the start of the week, and that way it's just off your plate. So be reading, whatever week you're in. Try to be reading ahead, or maybe read the following week's chapters before the end of the week. So have the following week's chapters read before Sunday or before Monday. Easier said than done, but y'all are adults and you're grown up, so figure out a system that works best for you. What I try to do is I'll try to have the PowerPoints and lecture videos available by Monday, but that won't always happen. So today's Tuesday, and I'll have our lecture video and PowerPoint up tomorrow, sometime tomorrow, Wednesday. What you could do is, if you've already done the reading, and then you already read the chapter, and then you go to watch my PowerPoint lecture video, or you could watch the PowerPoint lecture video first and then read in the chapter. I recommend reading the chapter first, and then when you have the time, read through the PowerPoint and watch the lecture video. So that's the format that I'll have. We'll have a module on Canvas, and it'll just say PowerPoint lectures and videos. And I'll have two separate, one document and then one link to a video. The document will be the PowerPoint presentation that I'm speaking from, that I'm teaching from, and I'll just basically share that with you. And then the other thing is a link to the YouTube video. So I will have a lecture video of me lecturing on the chapter, and I'll post that on my YouTube channel. I'll provide the link for you on Canvas. And the idea is I'm trying to simulate the classroom experience. So for you, you would click on the link, you have the YouTube video, and it's me talking. You don't see the PowerPoint within the video, it's just me talking just like this. And then you would open up the PowerPoint video on your own. And within that, maybe you can add notes to the PowerPoint, or just add notes to your textbook, add notes to your note-taking pad, or however it is that you take notes for classes. I recommend that you take notes as you're listening to my PowerPoint lectures, to my lecture videos, along with the PowerPoint. Because I'm trying to simulate the classroom experience, so the types of things that students tend to ask, I'm trying to anticipate the types of things that students ask, and I'm accounting for that in my lecture videos, so they're fairly detailed. They're pretty detailed. And the thing is, you're not there. We're not in a physical classroom where if I say something and you need a clarification, you can't just raise your hand and get an answer. So I try to anticipate the types of things that students ask. Hence, I'm trying to simulate the classroom experience. I recommend pausing the video multiple times if you hear me say something and it's one of those things where you're like, oh, okay, that's complicated, that's complex, that's kind of heady. Listen to it again, or or at least slow it down, or at least hit the pause button and write down, take down some notes, because what I'm doing is my goal is to explain things as best as I can through these videos, because you can't ask me questions, at least not right away. So I recommend taking notes. I'm not there to enforce it, but that's what I recommend. The way I recommend reading the textbook. So this is what I will share. This is what I share with students: is when you get a textbook, one of the first things that you should do when you get a textbook before you start reading anything is you read the preface. The preface is part of what's called the front matter. So the front matter of the textbook is the part that most college students never read. But in many cases, it's the most important thing, one of the most important things for you to read, and it's fairly short. In our textbook, the preface is a page and a half. And it's the authors of the textbook explaining what this book is about, explaining what argumentation is about, but it's really concise. I recommend reading the preface very thoroughly, like really detailed, underline things, take notes. It won't take you that long, but after reading that, you're like, oh, okay, that's what this book is about. That's what this course is about. That's what argumentation is about. But yeah, it's only a page and a half. And then when you actually start reading the chapters, think of reading a chapter in a textbook like a physical exercise or a workout, right? Before you actually start the main thing, you want to do some warm up. You want to do some light exercises before you start the main thing. Just like if you're going to go work out or you're going to go on a run, you'll do some stretching, you'll do some, you'll move your body around, get the blood going, get the blood flowing, and then you begin. Because then you have a much better experience during the workout. Similarly, they're very different type of experience, but similarly for reading a chapter, don't just open the book and then boom, you start reading the first section of the chapter. You can, and that's what a lot of college students do. I didn't start changing the way I read till several years into my college career, and then I took a much more systematic approach to reading once I got to my PhD program. So what I'll share with you now is the way that I did reading. Essentially the way that I did reading all throughout my PhD program. It was the only way I could survive with the amount of reading that we did. So when you get to a chapter, let's say I just happen to be on chapter 3. Chapter 3, page 38. The first thing that you should do is read the summary. Now, maybe you don't want to read the summary first, and that's fine, but this is my recommendation. Take from it what you will. So the first thing to do, read the summary thoroughly, right? Because the summary is a very concise overview of what you just read. It's certainly not sufficient for the whole chapter because it's only a couple of short paragraphs. But read the summary first, and then if you want, oh wait, there's no questions there. Never mind. Read the summary first, and then go back to the front and read that. Maybe read the first paragraph, first 2 paragraphs. The way our textbook is structured is such that usually the first couple paragraphs are sort of a preview, sort of an intro to the course. I'm sorry, sort of an intro to the chapter. So read that, and then go through the whole chapter and just read all the headings. Read the headings, the subheadings, the sub-subheadings, right? You're just going through. You're just sort of priming your brain for what the chapter is going to be about. All right, the total and model of argument, warrants, backing. You're just putting all these words in your head. And maybe you look at some of the figures, just sort of. You're getting a preview. That way you know what to expect when you get there, and so on and so forth. Once you've done all that, you read the summary, the intro, you've thumbed through the whole chapter, looking at the headings, subheadings. If you really want to kick it up a notch, go ahead and then write a very brief summary. Type up a brief summary of what that chapter about, what that chapter is about. So I did that for chapter 3. And in my notes, I might have a document, like a running document called chapter summaries. So I have chapter 1 summary, chapter 2 summary, right? Chapter 3 summary. This chapter is about, and then I just type in my own words. And I'm talking like not like a whole page, maybe one sentence or 2 sentences, like in a few sentences. How would you summarize this chapter in your own words? Grammar doesn't matter, spelling doesn't matter, as long as it makes sense to you. And when you've done that warm up, you're now ready to begin reading the chapter with a much more strategic approach, a much more focused sort of lens, if you will, a much more focused filter within your mind's eye, such that when you read, you're able to skim through some things more strategically than if you hadn't done that warm up. Sounds like a lot of work, but in the long run, you will end up spending less time reading and have more comprehension. But this is a skill, right? This is something that you learn to do. It's a habit. It's an exercise. And when you do it at first, it might feel weird and different if you've never read like this before. But after you've done this for a while, I can't promise you anything, but I promise that for me, when I started doing this, it completely changed the way that I read. I spent less time reading. I had more understanding, more comprehension. I was less tired. I was more focused when I would read. And it was a much better overall experience. So that is my advice to you on how to read your textbook chapters for all of your classes for the rest of your entire college career. And the nice thing is some college textbooks will have like a really detailed summary and a really detailed introduction. Ours is not so much. I mean, it's not insufficient. It's a different type of a textbook. But some courses that you have will have a textbook where it has like a detailed, like a chapter outline. It's like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. You have a chapter outline on the first page of the chapter. You read the chapter outline. You can even take that chapter outline, put it into your notes, and outline the chapter if you really wanted to go all out. So that's my advice to you. I know this was a much longer video announcement. Generally, they're not going to be this long at all. But I want to talk about the syllabus, the course schedule, some policies, and how to read the textbook, and so on and so forth. So that's it for now. I hope you're all doing well, and I will talk to you later. Bye.